Wednesday, or as we call it, Lawn Day. Ready for that segment, David? I was watching some Darren McFadden highlights this morning.
Heard of him. Remember him.
If you just get a chance today, at some point during your busy schedule, just go to YouTube and just watch about 3 minutes of Darren McFadden highlights. I mean, this cat, look, I know they had Peyton Hillis and Felix Jones and how loaded that three-headed monster was, but Darren McFadden was just on another level. Like, I'm watching him, I forgot when they used to give him the end around. You know, they'd run the zone fake and give him the end around. And if he ever got any head of steam built up to the line of scrimmage and he got past the first wave, he's gone. Like, it didn't matter. Georgia, LSU, Heaven's Army. He's outrunning everybody. Like, you talk about long striders. Like, you hear that term, oh, he's a long strider, oh, he's a long strider. Dude, Darren McFadden's eating up like 4 yards a step when he gets cooking.
Big, man.
I mean, he just
yeah, Darren McFadden was really good.
I mean, well, it's just like you remember guys, right? In your mind, you man, this guy was good, and then you turn on the highlights, and it's just like, golly. Once again, you're not catching them. Like you're not catching them regardless. But we'll see if anybody can catch LSU. Got a heck of a show for you today. Jayden Daniels, speaking of the Tigers, the starting quarterback's going to join us as well, so we're excited about that. And make sure you hit that subscribe button. So, Jayden Daniels joins us, as I said, to preview LSU's upcoming season. Kirby Smart hammers home the complacency point, and we break down the NFL's running back market and the chaos going on there right now. I'm Jake Crain. It's Wednesday, and welcome to Crain & Company. Now, Brian Kelly and LSU shocked everyone by winning the SEC West in year one under his tenure. And this year's team is going to be even better, while Alabama and the rest of the division have some very important question marks. Now, the Bayou Bengals return possibly the best quarterback in the league in Jayden Daniels, and he's going to join us here in a little bit. They return 4 starters on the offensive line, including 2 future NFL tackles. And there's plenty of talent at wideout led by Mr. Third Down and Malik Neighbors. Now, throw in Notre Dame transfer Logan Diggs and a stable of running backs behind him, and this offense should be able to score against anyone when operating at a high efficiency rate. Now, look, it's LSU, so we know the defense is going to be filled with athletes, but the 2 alphas are Mason Smith returning from injury on the defensive line and Harold Perkins, who has an Oppenheimer level of explosiveness at linebacker. Now, the key to keeping this ship steady, however, is consistency, and LSU has lacked that during previous regimes. And that's what head coach Brian Kelly actually does best. That's why it's a great fit. He's the ultimate CEO. And as I said, when he got the job, he's like the stepdad you never knew you needed and hated when he made you start cleaning up your room and hanging out with a better group of friends, but you realized how important and necessary he was when you graduated first in your class from Harvard Law. Now, LSU is a monster. We all know that. Hell, they won national titles with one guy who ate grass and another one who smoked it. But the consistency has been lacking. Kelly is the perfect antidote to that because he runs a tight ship that's organized structurally and holds people accountable. Now, the schedule is never easy for LSU, and this year is no exception. They go on the road to the Mississippi schools and rival Alabama, but with new Sheriff Kelly in town, and more holes than Camp Green Lake in the division surrounding them, LSU should be the favorite to win the West again this year. Now, will they? It's college football. Who the hell knows? But it seems like they have the right roster with the right leader to go back-to-back. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cohn, former Western State Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. Guys, it's the talk of the town at SEC Media Days. And I love how open the SEC West is this year because typically it's who's going to have a chance to maybe knock off Alabama. Alabama's obviously going to be the favorite. It's going to be Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship game. But when you look at this division, LSU, to me, they check all the boxes. Up front, at the skill position, not only one returning legitimate quarterback, but we've seen what Garrett Nussmeier, who decided to stay in the crazy transfer portal era we live in, decided to stay and be the backup because we know Jayden Daniels, even though he's put on weight, He did get beat up a little bit last year. But, David, when you look at this division, right now, LSU, I mean, with Brian Kelly going into year 2, same system, same phone, I know who this is.
This is what happens when you overperform in year 1. This is what happens when you come to the SEC and say, I came here to beat Nick Saban, and then you actually do it. LSU has to be the logical favorite to win the SEC West this year, which means somehow it will probably be Alabama since, college football is very illogical. But I loved a lot of points that you brought up there. They're done. They're past the trial phase with Brian Kelly being an outsider and testing him. All of that is over now. Now it's time, you can just look, we won the SEC West. We can expand on that and maybe even win the conference, make the college football playoff now. I thought Brian Kelly's leadership, especially last year in specific scenarios where you saw with like Kayshon Boutte, who we thought might be one of the best wide receivers in the country last year, had some issues, was going to come back, then decided not to come back. I don't think they missed a step here. When you look at what Malik Neighbors is able to do at the wide receiver position, filling in right where they left off, it's going to be the combination of that offensive line that you mentioned and adding Logan Diggs, I believe, that's going to take so much pressure off of Jayden Daniels, which is why I was excited to ask him that question. Because that kid is a freight train. He's fast. He runs downhill. Adding him behind that offensive line, I think, is going to be able to make that offense even more lethal than they were last year and not make Jayden Daniels have to make every single play down the field.
For sure. And I didn't even bring up Mason Taylor at tight end. The young freshman going into his sophomore year, made some big catches last year down the stretch, caught the 2-point conversion when Brian Kelly and them went to, decided to go for 2, which I thought was a statement decision for Brian Kelly that showed you he's not going in there playing for the tie. And look, sometimes, you make decisions to try and tie the game and send it to overtime. I get that. But I thought that was a huge turning point for them last year. But Blaine, when you look at this team, when you look at the way that Jayden Daniels and them handled themselves, Wingo on defense as well at SEC Media Days. Brian Kelly didn't make a ton of waves, didn't have to. He came in throwing haymakers last year, but your thoughts on the Bengals?
Well, Brian Kelly's going to be business-like anyways. He's going to be like that SEC Media Days, and, he's walked into the conference not afraid of anything, and that shows up with his players. The big thing with me when it comes to last year, LSU team, just the growth of Jayden Daniels throughout the season. You didn't see Jayden pushing down the field early in the year last year. But you slowly saw Jayden get more comfortable with the offense and more comfortable with receivers. And the one thing Jayden doesn't do, if you go back and look at his stats, especially the games, he doesn't turn the ball over. And that's huge when it comes to SEC. 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You have 2 freshman tackles who are now growing into their sophomore year, who are only going to get better. I'm just really interested to see this run game and how it evolves. I don't think Jayden Daniels needs to be your leading rusher. I don't. To be consistent in the SEC, you do need a back between the tackles to win on first and second down, and then Jayden's feet can get involved. But this team goes as far as Jayden Daniels is going to take them. And talking to him at SEC Media Days, the kid's cool, calm, and collected, put on some weight. Says his ankle is getting better, which is huge. I'm really interested to see what they look like week 1 versus Florida State. This might be one of the best games. It might be early, but it might be one of the best games of the year, hands down. Jayden Daniels, Jordan Travis, Brian Kelly against the Seminoles. Man, I can't wait. I wouldn't be surprised if LSU wins the West. But I'm telling you, there's nothing more dangerous than the Alabama team people don't believe in.
Yeah, and look, I get that, and Nick Saban's the master manipulator when it comes to that, and he doesn't really need to manipulate anybody this year. I think LSU is going to come out as a slight favorite. I do want to say, I think one of the most dangerous parts about LSU is, yes, Jayden Daniels can push them over the top. I think they can be at their maximum potential with Jayden Daniels. But if something happens to Jayden, and I hope it doesn't, and he has gained weight, but he's still wiry. Yeah. When you look at him, he's still not a big. Garrett Nussmeier's a good player. Yeah. Like Garrett Nussmeier could start at quarterback at a lot of places. That was a huge save for them. Because again, we know how the battle of attrition is, especially in the Southeastern Conference. So I think that gives you, it allows you to be a little bit more aggressive with Jayden Daniels from a play calling standpoint, especially in the red zone when you have a guy behind him that can come in and do it, and has shown you. He came in against Georgia last year in the SEC championship game and looked like he belonged. So I want to make sure we don't get lost on that point. Now, they do have to replace a lot of pass rushers. You look at B.J. Ojolari leaving, Ali Gay leaving, but it's LSU, all right? You see what they did in the transfer portal. I'm not worried about LSU being athletic enough on defense, and Mason Smith is and I don't use this term lightly, a lot of people throw it around, is a generational talent up front. Remember, he got hurt celebrating against Florida State last year. Early in that game, he's had over a year to recover. They said he looks fantastic. You talk about a guy that gets off the ball, uses his hands, is a big guy, but plays with good leverage. He's an NFL player. He's going to play in the league for a long, long time. But we want to know who you think is going to win the SEC West. We have live calls today. Make sure you give us a call, 1-855-236-3228. Got a great show for you. Remember, in the Booster Club, which is our live chat, if you donate, you get your question read or your comment read. It doesn't have to be a question. It can be a comment. If you disagree with us, that's fine. I love dissent. If we all agreed this would suck, even though we all know I'm right all the time, including about the Reds, who are just Post Malone falling apart right now. But to change gears for a second, all right, just like LSU and the SEC, when you have a great product, all right, you need a great company to help sell it, which is why you need Shopify. All right, that's an all-in-one commerce platform for starting, running, and growing your business. David, hit that noise. When you hear that, you're rich. That's right, in this economy. They make it easy to sell to anyone from anywhere. And I get a lot of people that are starting podcasts or want to break in and they want to do merchandise and they want to get into the commerce game and they just don't know how. Or they're really excited about it. You start to try and do it. You look around and you can't find that great fit. I'm telling you, Shopify, they make it incredibly easy. They make it really, really easy for us. The customer service is absolutely fantastic, especially early when you need it. Not that it's not good late, but early when you need it, they go step by step. And it's basically a machine that you just flip the switch and you let them go to work. You can customize your online store to your brand, discover new customers, and build relationships that create diehard fans. And every minute, new sellers around the world score their first sale with Shopify. David, you're a businessman. They make it easy. I want Morgan Wall on this thing. Make it easy.
Yeah. I'm a businessman, and I'm trying to be a business man.
Shopify helps
and
with
if
that.
you get Shopify, you can be a business.
Blaine, I want your thoughts when you hear this sound. Hit it
Hold on,
again.
you ready for this?
The first thought that comes to your mind.
Crypto.
Okay, I don't like that. Do another one. Hit it again. That's not good.
Shopify.
Yeah, wow, that's a good one. You really did great there. So sign up for $1. Sign up for a $1 per month trial at Shopify.com/Crain. That's Crain. It's not spelled like a bird and it's all lowercase. That's Shopify.com/Crain, Crain, all lowercase, to start selling online today. Shopify.com/Crain, because you want to be rich too.
So the Cole Freen $2 donation, we take a wild guess what this is. LeBron is mid, MJ is the GOAT, and kickers are the real MVP.
There we go.
So to Matty Ice, 1994, also known as Nighthawk. I'm an Oregon fan and simply single-handedly watched Jayden Daniels destroy us in our college football playoff chances. If that guy shows up, he can be as lethal as any.
Yeah, and he's got really good touch, too. You go back and watch it. Once they started using that deep third, about halfway through the season, just changed their offense. It opened up the run game, and we talked with Jayden about that, and I thought he had a really good answer.
Let's go to Josh Reichley. What's up, Josh? Is Spencer Rattler being slept on this year, and can he return to his former self in the SEC?
No, I don't think Spencer Rattler's being slept on. Everybody's talking about him. The biggest worry, if I'm about Spencer Rattler, is can they protect him? I mean, you lose your starting left tackle during the spring. Right now, if you look at South Carolina, and I know projections and potential is energy that just hasn't been used yet, but up front, South Carolina looks like they're going to be in the bottom half of the league on the offensive line and the defensive line. Look at who they have protect them on the offensive line. It is an absolute smorgasbord of group of five guys and even lower than that, which I'm not saying guys from the group of five can't play. We see it all the time. We see it in the NFL draft. But if you're hedging your bet on a bunch of those guys, I don't think you're going to be – there's a lot of wide receivers that can come out of group of five and FCS and D2 and come play. DBs, skill position players in general. There's not a whole lot of offensive linemen and defensive linemen that can come into the Southeastern Conference, a conference that is built – and football's built in the trenches, but the SEC has dominated, and teams outside of the SEC have really rose their living situation up by being good up front. That is the difference. It just means more. It just means more in the trenches. That's why. So South Carolina, I'm not worried about Juice Wells. I know you lost Marshawn Lloyd. I'm not worried about the skill position. It's up front. That's going to tell the story about Spencer Rattler because this is not a one-man game. This is not basketball. This is not baseball. This is not pickleball. This is football. And you have to be good up front. You have to be able to protect them, and you have to be able to run the ball.
It feels like the hype for Spencer Rattler this season is actually appropriate.
It is.
I feel like talking about underrated or overrated. I mean, last year, people were putting him as a top 3 quarterback in the country. That was absurd given the way that he exited Oklahoma, even though it was a great get for Shane Beamer and bringing the kid over. Let's see if we can get that growth and maximize the potential of the on-the-field talent you always knew was possible, Spencer Rattler. Well, towards the end of the season, that's what you got. So if he can pick up where he left off from last season, he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I feel like we are talking about him the appropriate amount. And the ceiling is very high.
We'll see. You got North Carolina week 1.
Let's go to John Ray. He says, how crazy to think that Georgia has a real legitimate chance of a three-peat. I don't see how they don't do it. If they lose a game, it will be in the playoffs or the SEC championship, which won't matter.
Well, in the playoffs, it's going to matter. You lose a game in the playoff, that there is no three-peat. But look, Georgia, to me, and we've talked about this multiple times, is the best state to recruit per capita for the major 3 high school sports, for baseball, for basketball, and for football. That's why I'm shocked that we do not see Georgia baseball, which, by the way, Georgia has the lottery, which helps you out a lot when it comes to baseball recruiting, why we haven't seen Georgia dominate in college basketball and in college baseball. I mean, look, how many people go into Georgia for college basketball and get guys? They're there all the time. So watching Georgia football, they just needed, and Mark Richt's a fantastic coach, an even better human being, and we know he's dealing with some health stuff right now, and obviously our prayers are sent to him, and we hope, obviously it works out. But Kirby Smart is the perfect fit. They were waiting on their Superman. They just needed him to step in the phone booth and walk out and put that cape on, and it's Kirby Smart. And we talked about this when talking about Saban's legacy the other day. And Georgia is one of those golden egg places, and to me, is one of the best jobs in the country, because while Georgia Tech is a big deal and people care about Georgia Tech, there is no Auburn and Alabama. There is no Ole Miss and Mississippi State. It is Georgia, and then it's Georgia Tech. And then it's Georgia Southern. And then it's Georgia State. And we can keep going through there. But I'm not, it's hard to win 3 in a row. Obviously, I'd be surprised if anybody can win 3 in a row. But seeing a guy like Kirby do it at a place like Georgia, to me, makes the most sense, or is one of the top 3 to 5 places in the country where you can actually do it.
Let's go to CB Dog 4. He says, Rattler is improving, but some may say it's because of consistency around him. I still don't think he'll live up to what the hype he had out of high school. He's a top QB in his class. That QB class might be the worst ever.
I mean, we say that, and then you look at the quarterback class that's coming out this year. I know they all didn't graduate high school from the same year, but, we talked to a big-time, guy who's in the scouting business and is very deep enthralled in it yesterday, and he was talking about how this is one of the deepest quarterback classes that there is from coast to coast. I mean, you go, and I know the SEC isn't returning a ton of quarterbacks, but even the guys they're returning, I mean, even guys that really aren't being talked about that much, the Will Rogers, guys like that. You look at Devin Leary, who's still kind of flying under the radar after being overhyped last year at NC State. I hope it works out for Spencer. It seems like mentally he's kind of gotten over that I'm better, not, the arrogance of I'm better than you on the field, but kind of that arrogance and the personality that I think put him behind the 8 ball. It's going to come down to how good South Carolina is up front. All right, that's just the truth.
Yeah, I think he's talking about his QB class at a high school as well.
That's what I'm talking about.
Let's go to Bama. God, I don't want to call you Mo Bama so bad. What do you think is Bama's saving grace this year that could cause them to win the West? Is it all about perceived underdog mentality, or do they have any secret weapons?
Well, I mean, it's
probably got something hiding in there.
Yeah, well, I think you guys agree with me. Bama's personnel is fantastic. I mean, yeah, there's question marks there, but I'd love to have those type question marks with the players that Alabama has. I mean, you look at the quarterback race, there are 3 quality players. Now, asking them to be Bryce Young's not fair, but I think you look at the schedule. It is somewhat favorable to Alabama. Most of their big games are at home outside of the Iron Bowl and A&M. They're on the road. They do have the underdog chip on the shoulder mentality without having to have Nick Saban, take them to re-education camp during fall camp, because everybody's going to be talking about LSU and Georgia. All they hear is Georgia, 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 Georgia. So I think Alabama has built-in advantages. We know they're recruited at a high level, but they are being somewhat, slept on, and I think for the right reasons this year. So, you add those things together, and plus they have the GOAT, Nick Saban. I mean, that's the biggest advantage you can possibly have. But let's get to 5 big questions. We'll get back to the Booster Club. Remember, calls 1-855-236-3228.
Well, my first question is about Kirby Smart. He was at SEC Media Days yesterday. He said, I'm not worried about a three-peat or a two-peat or a one-peat. I'm worried about complacency. I mean, how do you beat a guy that is this singularly focused on not allowing his team to get complacent?
One snap at a time. I think and I listened to Kirby talk yesterday, and I think that he said something that it's very true. It's obvious, but it's very true. And it doesn't just pertain to, putting a good football team together to try and get guys to focus. Is to be able to battle complacency, you got to be willing to call it out, to admit that it can be a problem, right? How do you get over, what do they say the first step is when you go to AA? Is it saying you have a problem? Recognizing I have a problem? You sit down around the family. Mom, Oreo smoothie now. They pull out the letters. Listen, we love you. Guys, listen, we won 2 in a row. That's great. Brock Bowers, who we interviewed yesterday, we're going to play him at the end of the week. You're 2 for 2. 2 years, 2 natties. Cedric Van Pran coming back at center. You're back-to-back natties. How do you battle that complacency? Well, we're going to make sure that everybody knows that it can be a problem. You're not hiding around it. You're not afraid to say it. You're not afraid to say, well, I don't want to bring up complacency because if I bring it up, then we'll get complacent. I think that goes back to genuine honesty. You know how you get guys, I think, to focus and continue to have that high level of focus? Number one, you give them a taste of it. Georgia knows what it's like now to win it. That they expect to win it. You don't want to be the senior class. You don't want to be the older group of guys that stops the tradition now. Who wants to go back and say, man, our sophomore year, we won it. It was great. Our junior year, Stetson senior year, we rolled up TCU 65-7, beat LSU in the SEC championship game. Who wants to say, but our senior year, man, I felt like we didn't practice the same way. I felt like maybe our leadership wasn't at the same level. That's like a primal thing. That's like something where you don't want to be the class. I remember Hoover winning it every year when I was coming up, winning the state championship every year, right? And, we wanted to be the senior class that knocked them off, that beat Prattville to get to the state championship, to beat Hoover. In that same token, watching Two-A-Days, the old show on MTV, to kind of age myself, shout out Rush Probst, they talked about the senior class. We don't want to be the class that stops the dominance. And I think genuinely being honest about that just hits different, man. Honesty is the best policy. And I thought Kirby, I thought he was great yesterday.
Well, I kind of go back to what the Brock Bowers said in the interview we'll play. They're just too busy to be complacent, right? There's got too much going on from a day in, day out standpoint. And what's Kirby installed in these guys since the day they walked on campus is just different. Kirby knows how to build them, not only physically, but mentally. You just plant seeds throughout the week. Right, no matter what it is. And I think he shows that on the field. No matter if that's their starting guy, their backup guy, or their third guy, they all walk the same, talk the same, and work the same. And when everybody on the same team believes in one thing and does the same thing, it shows on the field. And hell, they're supposed to go 7-5 anyways.
David, Kirby told the story yesterday about Cedric Van Pran. I bring him up again. He's probably going to be the number 1 center coming out this year at practice, the week of practice, when they're playing TCU for the national championship. And Kirby, had his mic, bullhorn, whatever, and he didn't like the way they were practicing. And Kirby said on the mic, like at the beginning of practice, like, man, it seems like y'all don't want to be here. And he said after practice, he's walking off after talking to the team, and Cedric Van Pran stops him, and he's like, Coach, like, you really hurt my feelings when you said that. Like, I want to be here, like, really, really bad. It just shows you how locked in those guys are to everything that he says, including the leaders. That's how, and it starts in recruiting. It starts in evaluation, not just the talent on the field, but getting guys in who want to come in there and bust their ass and do the things that it takes to be able to be as close to perfect as you can possibly be. And I think that spoke volumes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to come in and say, guys, we won the championship last year and we won the championship the year before, and let's make sure we don't get complacent this year and try really hard. Everybody who wins a championship says that. It is extraordinary to see the level at which they practice this, not letting complacency enter the building. And it's what's going to set him apart from, say, another great football coach like Ed Orgeron, who coached one of the greatest teams we've seen, went 15-0, undefeated season. I don't think Ed Orgeron was practicing not getting complacent the next year when they win 5 games and win 6 games. And now you see what Kirby Smart's able to do to keep that mentality in the building. It truly is extraordinary. Let's go to the NFL. Aaron Donald topped the Madden list of 99 overall rating for a record 7th time, which is truly extraordinary. You know, I've often said Lawrence Taylor's the greatest defensive player in the history of football. But when Aaron Donald retires, will he usurp that crown and be the greatest defensive player?
And I think they're so different in the type players they are. I think Aaron Donald, and see, I look at a guy like Reggie White too. Like you have some guys that are edge rushers. Like Aaron Donald can play some DN, but to me, he's still an interior defensive lineman. That's what he is. He's the best pass rushing interior defensive lineman I've ever seen. Now, Reggie White, who was also massive, played inside and outside too. So I think that they're such different players, all three of those, that it's hard for me to sit here and say, what would Reggie White, like prime Reggie White, I would take prime Reggie White over prime Lawrence Taylor and prime Aaron Donald. I would.
Give me LT and don't smoke crack.
Yeah. Now, which again, I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong. You know, I don't think you're wrong for picking that. I think it's, you know, you can be right either way. But anybody that warms up with knives, like he warms up against somebody with knives, like that just mentally, that sends you another place. But the craziest thing about Aaron Donald isn't huge. Like, it's not like Aaron Donald is Chris Jones size from the Chiefs or Reggie White size. Aaron Donald is like kind of just a normal looking cat, like when you look at him. But watching him get off the ball, we talk about playing with your hands. I mean, this dude is like Chris Angel, the mind freak, with his hands at the line of scrimmage. I mean, he deserves it, man. Like if I was him, I'm shocked he didn't retire after they won the Super Bowl. I'm shocked he didn't retire.
He's so good. Like so I can't really I've seen obviously highlights of LT, but I didn't really get to watch him play. You know, from like the plays that LT didn't make but made.
He's
right.
Good.
You watch Aaron Donald make plays, but not even making the play. Like just the way the offensive line has to account for him every play, and he's from the inside. He's coming inside out. He's just Mr. Miyagi, guys. Then going home and benching 900 pounds. The crazy thing about it is Patrick Mahomes came in 98 overall. What does Pat have to do to be a 99?
Yeah, that is true.
Overall?
I mean,
what's he missing?
The 99s right now are Justin Jefferson. Understandable. Aaron Donald, Travis Kelce, and Trent Williams.
All right. Whoever did that's a Raiders fan. They just
like what? So explain to me, like, what is Patrick Mahomes missing? What, does he put ketchup on his steak? Is his wife kind of nuts?
Exactly.
You know what?
I blame his brother.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know what? I understand it now.
Yeah.
I understand it now. That's why. It's Jackson Mahomes' fault. God, that guy's the worst.
All right, a couple more here. San Diego State remains in good standing with the Mountain West Conference for this season. There was a little bit of discrepancy on whether or not they were going to get their, I think it was $6 million funds or whatever after they announced they were going to leave the next season. But it looks like San Diego State will move forward in the Mountain West. Are they going to go to the Pac-12 though?
What, like move forward just for this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me, this is like, hey, you think the marriage isn't going good? It's year 8. Okay, it's not going good. You know, you guys are talking about maybe separating. Maybe I need some time. Maybe you need some time. But then you think, hey, maybe if I make this next year super special, maybe we renew our vows. Hey, maybe we take that trip to Hawaii. Maybe we go to the Solomon Islands. I don't know, Turks and Caicos. Maybe talk about a timeshare, make a mistake, get weird. I don't know. But let's not act like San Diego State's not going to the Pac-12. The Pac-12's like, all right. The Pac-12's like that girl on Instagram they can't believe messaged you back. Like maybe there's a chance. So we'll just talk and play it cool, but trying to save the marriage, year 8.
Well,
fresh start.
San Diego State gave the Mountain West notice that they were leaving the next season, and I guess the conference was like, okay, so you're leaving. This is you leaving. No, this is our notice that we're leaving, and now I guess they've gotten it.
Like our
Did you notice we're leaving?
Our kid just got into middle school. We'll let it go for a year, and then after that.
All right, this one's for you over there. Yankees 1-4 since the All-Star break.
Oh, damn.
Seriously, what's going to happen here? Are they going to blow this thing up, or are they all in? Is it just as easy as go get a piece like Shohei Ohtani, or what's the strategy?
Well, I mean, if you can't hit the baseball, you're not going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been a big Boone guy, and I thought he's done well, but it's getting worse and worse at this point. So I don't know. I don't know how the Yankees are going to fix it. And you know what? I really don't want to tell them how to fix it because I don't want to wake up in the morning, all right, and pull up my phone.
You on the highlight film again?
You know, and just being on Twitter getting CNN. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I want that to happen. So you know what? Yankees, keep doing it. Don't worry about getting anybody. Keep living your life. You can't hit. You can't pitch.
Well, like
not funny.
And we talk about
Funny how?
my stuff don't work. If you don't know, Blaine last year said when the Yankees were doing well that they still needed to do something at the trade deadline, that they needed to make a splash at the trade deadline. And so going into was it going in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Starting the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Yankees obviously made the playoffs, a lot of momentum. They did a highlight film. And this is the Yankees Twitter account. Blaine's a Yankees fan. We're Braves. Well, I'm a Braves fan. Cone's a traitor. But But the Yankees on their highlight film pulled a clip of Blaine saying that, like to make fun of him. And then they blew it in the playoffs because they didn't have that extra couple pieces. So Blaine ended up being right, and they CNN'd him on social media, and then they did. You know, if I'm gonna put out a highlight film of like, I'm right, you're wrong, ha ha ha, because we know the standard isn't the Yankees making the playoffs. It's winning World Series, it's winning pennants, stuff like that. But if you're gonna be wrong after you put somebody in a highlight film, why can't you come out and just, admit they were wrong and you were right?
It's not even that. It's not like I was even saying anything really bad about him. You know, it's like, and after I just gave him a pond full of compliments, 20 compliments back to back to back, I was like, you need to go get more.
You were gassing
if you want to win it. And next thing you know, I wake up and just Tucker Carlson's asked me why I was on CNN.
Yeah,
you know, so get it. You look at it right now. You're 30th right now in batting average.
Ooh, how does that happen?
You're 27th on baseball.
You play in Williamsport at a Williamsport-sized stadium.
Like literally, just pop it up and it goes out. How hard is that? We talking launch angles? Hell, hire me. I played enough baseball in the Wii. We could get it done.
Talking about a lot of runs being scored. This is the last one. 12 Major League Baseball teams yesterday scored in double digits for the first time since 1894.
Yeah.
Not 1994. So will it take another century for that to happen?
Yeah.
Well, first off, that was a heck of a pitcher's duel, and by pitcher's duel, I mean which their pitching staffs were dueling it out to who could suck worse. Glad I took the Nerfy in that one.
I'm glad everyone on the Braves hit a home run except for Matt Olson. This was great.
Blaine took Matt. I looked at that this morning.
Yeah. Austin Riley was like, here, throw it.
Yeah. It's like, hey, he scored almost 30 runs. Now, again, baseball's a crazy sport. It's you always see something that you feel like you hadn't seen in forever, or that you've never seen before coming down the stretch. But look, it may take another, 115 years for that to happen. Who knows? It'll be 1-0 tonight. It's the game of baseball.
That's why I took a couple Nerfies.
Yeah. It'll be 1-0 without a doubt tonight. They took their offense to the next level. We got to admit that. And you can take your style to the next level with Indochino. You see what I did there? Because dressing for success, it can help you look better and be more confident. And if you're listening on audio right now, you can't see this beautiful picture that's up, but look at these suits. Okay, you need a good suit. Okay, and typically suits are super expensive, but we got a great deal for you, and they just don't do suits. That's not what the only thing they do. It's business casual, dress shirts, camp shirts. We know tailgating's coming up. They've got great shirts for tailgates and even blazers like they play for UAB. Indochino offers a wide variety of options for every occasion, as I mentioned. David, you ordered a suit?
I did. I ordered a gray suit.
So the process was super duper easy?
Yep, it was. Measured me out, fits perfectly, and wore it to a wedding.
Blaine, you got a couple shirts you've worn to some barbecues from Indochino.
Absolutely. Look, I like to look stylish. All right,
you do.
You got to. I mean, what's more stylish than rocking that Indochino? Especially on a Wednesday.
Stylish with no stylist. Indochino's my stylist.
Wow.
Their camp shirts, like I said, they're the perfect addition to your summer wardrobe. So take your style to the next level with Indochino. That's Indochino. Because if you go to Indochino.com right now and use our code BOOSTER, you get 10% off any purchase, $399 or more. And I'm telling you guys, if you want a good product and a good suit, that is not expensive at all. If you've lived in the human world, all right, or you've went outside and touched grass, you know that amount of money is not crazy when you're buying something that you're going to use for multiple occasions, that has great variety and it lasts. That's the biggest thing. It's quality and it lasts. So go to Indochino.com, Indochino.com. Use that promo code BOOSTER Pretty sure you guys know how to spell that to take your style to the next level. Booster Club, real quick.
Go to USMC Sam with the $5 donation. He disagrees with you, Jake.
Oh, okay.
Says Florida's the best state to recruit for the Big Three. You have Florida, Miami, FSU, UCF, USF, all trying to pull talent.
I think Florida, you can make a great argument for it, but I think in Florida, high school coaches don't get paid as much as they do in the state of Georgia. I think you get better linemen out of the state of Georgia because in Florida, the further you go south, the skinnier the kids get. Ask anybody that's recruited the state of Florida. Now, the faster they get, but the skinnier they get. In Georgia, I think there are more quality linemen, offensive linemen and defensive linemen in that state than in the state of Florida. Not that you don't put weight on kids, not that you don't take kids that every kid's not physically ready from size-wise, especially up front, to be able to come in and play Division II, let alone D1, let alone the SEC. But I will still take Georgia. If I could get all the best kids out of Georgia compared to all the best kids out of Florida, I would take Georgia. Now, the Panhandle to me is the best part of the Florida to recruit. Yeah. Outside of Statesboro.
Just
kidding.
Let's go to Byron Davis with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Byron. Says, what's up, guys? Do y'all think that Clemson has a sneaky chance of their offense being better than people think they are?
Yeah.
At best, everyone else thinks they're
Clemson?
Clemson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you had one of the best offseason coordinator hires, Garrett Riley. Yeah, who's like Professor Snape when it comes down to, putting an offense together. This guy knows how to do it. And you gave him Cade Klubnik, who you watched. I mean, we talk about SEC Media Days right now. ACC Media Days is going on as well. Garrett Riley talked about Cade Klubnik's skill set. And listen, people say, Cade Klubnik, you saw some good, you saw some bad. Yeah, I say this all the time. It's called being a young quarterback. Yeah. Now you've got there is no DJU there anymore, right? That you have to worry about, I'm going to come in for this guy. I better play well because he wasn't playing well. The backup quarterback's so popular until he gets in there and blows it. But I thought Cade showed a ton of flashes. He's athletic. He can run. He's got a big arm. He's a good leader. Now he can be more vocal because he is the guy. And there's something some guys handle actually being the guy going into the season a lot better than they do getting thrown in there. Some guys are the opposite. Look at Joe Milton. We're talking about the same question from a different angle with him in Tennessee this year. But the biggest question for me with Clemson isn't just Cade Klubnik at quarterback. It's at the skill position around him. Now, Clemson's offensive line hasn't been what it was when they were able to beat Bama. And now I know Deshaun Watson and Trevor and them did a lot. But up front, we know Clemson on the defensive line is full of aliens. All right, just look at the NFL draft. Just look at the league right now. But the offensive line from Clemson has to get back to that level. But the skill position, look, I love Shipley, right? He's a great player. But when he's your best skill player, you're not going to do the things that Clemson is used to or that Dabo has been doing at a championship level. Where are the T. Higgins at? Where are the Justin Rosses at? Where are the Travis Etienne's at? Now, they got some guys they're really excited about this year, okay, and we'll see. But until Clemson gets back to that point, and in the ACC, you look at what Florida State's doing and Mike Norvell. I know Phil Longo's gone from North Carolina, but Drake May, the great white witch, is coming back, a guy that obviously everybody's really high on. There's some other teams that are a little bit scary there. But listen, I would not be surprised if Clemson turned back into explosive offense. You just have to get the skill players and that offensive line back to where it was, and Dabo knows that.
It was just a messy situation all the way around because DJ Uiagalelei didn't play bad enough consistently to be removed permanently, and Cade Klubnik didn't play great enough permanently to take over the full-time job. I mean, we had games where DJU was scoring 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, there it is. You can do it. And then on the flip side of that, especially when we talk about the Syracuse game there around halftime, it was like, it's not working, and neither guy was going to go in and take like the starting role.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You have a run of great quarterbacks, then all of a sudden, you're not going to have an elite quarterback every year. It's like you look at Bama. That's the question this year.
Season, yeah.
That's this season. You've had Bryce. You've had Tua, you've had Jalen, you've had Mac. Eventually, you're going to miss on a guy, or a guy isn't going to be a superstar. Clemson seemed to hit that bump. Can Cade Klubnik get them back there? I think he has the talent to, and you mix him with Garrett Riley, that's a pretty good potions class.
All right, $5 donation from Chris E. Coney, I'm going to throw this one your way. Would giving Blake Corum more breaks this season be beneficial for Michigan? And should they rely more on JJ or the dual run threat with Donovan?
That's a good question because we're going to talk about that a little bit when we talk about the NFL running back market. Look, Donovan Edwards is a fantastic back. You saw what he was able to do late in the season last year after Blake Corum went down. That 1-2 punch is going to be lethal. I don't know if it's as much about breaks as it is about the rhythm of the game and having two guys who are always fresh. And keep in mind, we're talking about this more and more with running backs. It's not just about getting the ball and toting it. It's about run block, or it's about pass blocking as well. That's such an important aspect. So, I mean, from a coaching standpoint with you guys, are you trying to give running backs more breaks and maybe not have necessarily a 1,500-yard rusher, kind of like we were talking about with Darren McFadden at the beginning of the show, or do you want one guy to play the majority of the snaps?
Well, I think now it obviously depends on the personnel and depends on the situation. I mean, if it's 4th and 1 and we need to get it and I'm going to run it, I'm going to give it to my horse. I'm going to give it to my best guy. But I think something that gets underrated, and this goes back to Nick Saban and Blaine, me and you've talked about this multiple times. I used to have people ask me, how does Nick Saban sign 2 5-star running backs in one class? Well, it used to be that you had your bell cow, that you gave a guy the ball 25 times. Derrick Henry was the anomaly at Alabama when they used to give him 30 carries. But the way Nick Saban does it and the way these coaches do it now is they go in there and say, listen, 5-star running back A, you can come in for 3 years till you're draft eligible. I can give you 20 carries a game. You can catch the ball, 5 times. You can end up touching the ball around 30 times. And by the time you go to the combine after your junior year, you're going to be beat to hell. You're going to be beat to hell. You're going to have bad shoulders. You're going to have bad knees. You're going to have bad hips. You're going to have bad feet. Or we can do this. I can give you 12 to 15 carries a game, give you around 20 touches, make sure they know you're a good pass blocker. And by the time you get to the combine after your junior year, you're a lot healthier, and they're going to see that in the Senior Bowl. They're going to see it in the combine. They're going to look at your physical and your medical report, and you're going to make more money.
Yeah.
Because if you look now, and especially in the league, it's a specialist league at running back. And this is going to be a great segue and to get off my lawn. You have guys that are third down backs. You have guys that are short yardage backs. You have guys that are better pass blockers. But if you can do everything, and we talked to Woody Marks, running back at Mississippi State, about this as well, and you look at a guy like Najee Harris, who came back to become a better pass blocker and route runner, you can kind of still fit that role. When it schematically, you want to put your best personnel in the most important situations, but I think balance and getting guys through the year without getting them beat to hell. So when you get to that conference championship game, when you get to the playoff, which is now 2 games, which is going to be now 4 games or whatever it is with the 12-team playoff, your horses are still able to go out there and run it full.
And the good thing with Michigan is there's more than enough carries to go around. We're not talking about like Mississippi State's offense or something like that. There's more than enough carries to go around, and all of that success on the ground is going to set up J.J. McCarthy, not just off play action, but also with some of those design runs. I was there shaking my head why there weren't more design runs for him in the first half of the game against TCU. So, look, I want Blake Corum to be able to stay healthy because he means that much to the program. And the thing I'm most interested to see, especially at the beginning of the year, is how predictable are they going to be when Donovan Edwards comes in the game? Because when Donovan Edwards came in the game last year before Blake Corum went down, you could almost guarantee that it was a pass. But then he rushes for what, 230 yards against the Buckeyes? Clearly, he can tote the rock too. Can you be balanced and get Blake Corum involved in the pass game and keep Donovan Edwards involved in the run game so you're not predictable?
That word that you're talking about, tendency.
Exactly.
Right? That's what defenses are looking for. And same scout we talked to yesterday, Michigan has 7 offensive linemen that can possibly get drafted.
Back-to-back Remington Award winners.
Which means that they're starting 5. Imagine going jumbo personnel with that. It's like trying to
Oh, and they will.
Yeah, you best believe they will. But that's a great segue, Cone. It's Wednesday, right? So you know what time it is. Speaking of running backs, I couldn't let this perfect segue go to waste, right? Speaking of balance, and you do have a tendency to ball out in these, let's get off my lawn because we all know Cone's really 85 years old at heart. Cone, who's G'ing off your L in front of everybody today?
Those complaining about the running back market in the NFL need to get off my lawn.
Democratic.
This week, Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs failed to sign new contracts with the Giants and Raiders, respectively, which prompted harsh criticism from backs across the league, such as Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler and Christian McCaffrey. Now, I'm all for guys getting paid as much as possible. Shoot, that's what I'm trying to do in my profession. But the game of football has consistently evolved over time. And in its current state, making backs among the highest paid players on a team, no matter how elite they may be, has proven not to be a winning strategy. In addition, backs average the shortest careers of any position. Now, if we're talking about fantasy football, the perceived value between running backs and, say, quarterbacks would flip instantaneously because the nature of the competition is different and the market value has changed. Look, one of the most valuable people in my life is the guy who changes my brake pads. His skill set can mean the difference in life or death for my family. So I pay him as much money as it takes to keep us safe on the road and not one penny extra because he's not the only one who can do that job successfully. Compensating more than necessary while attempting to achieve goals is not smart business. And the NFL teams, they're in the business of winning Super Bowls. Take the team that just won it, the Kansas City Chiefs. They did so with a starting rookie running back drafted in the 7th round, and they're not an anomaly. Examine the Super Bowl champions over the past decade: Patriots, Rams, Bucks, Eagles. Then compare their running back cap hits. I understand the frustration. Some of these guys are the best football players in the league, not just at their position. And perhaps the Players Association will address this issue in the next collective bargaining agreement by reducing rookie years or altering franchise tags. But until that happens, it makes no sense blaming GMs or owners or even the salary cap, because the percentage of a team's budget that's spent on backs will remain the same even if the cap goes up. Saying $13 million a year is a criminal offer because these guys deserve more money for taking so many hits in a football game. It gets little sympathy from me when my neighbor runs into burning houses every day, saving people's lives for $50,000 a year. So stay off my lawn.
Oh, man.
Love it. Get off his lawn, y'all.
Y'all, stop. Just why are you on his lawn right now? And are we going to start having position, like, union groups? Like the running, you know that just everybody's in a group chat.
That's an
and then they hit up
question.
like RG3. Like at what point is it like, all right, well, we have the players union, but no, we also have the tight ends union. We also have the running backs union. This, I don't know why, but ever since this has come up, I just think about Ben Stiller and Along Came Polly.
Mm-hmm.
Like being the insurance guy, like this is how they look at it. Like I'm not going to insure somebody that's a daredevil, okay, that skydives every day, because it's not the smart money play. Nobody is doing this out of spite.
Yeah.
Nobody is doing this because they hate people or that, oh, running backs, they're just not important. Nobody's saying they're not important. What they're saying is you can get a cheaper deal on them and still win. Because guess what? The most important positions are up front and a quarterback. That's just the truth. Look at the draft, right? I mean, look where Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs got taken. Everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe they got drafted there. Now, Bijan, to me, is the only one that made sense to draft. I can understand that to a certain extent, but there is no malice or nefariousness behind this. But on the same hand, two things can be true at once. I get them being pissed off, right? I understand it. Now, some of the verbiage and some of the things they're saying, I think are a little bit over the top, but we see this all the time. I mean, you got a writer's strike going on in Hollywood right now.
And actor.
And actor,
now,
which, I hope Hollywood, I could give a damn about that. But, I mean, I get both sides of it. You want to make as much money as possible when you are running into other human beings at full speed. It is dangerous. I get it. You can look at the science. But if you're in the business of winning and trying to do the smartest thing with your money, and you can get the same thing at Dollar General as you can at Sprouts, then I'm going to Dollar General.
Yeah, Blaine, to Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs' credit, really, they haven't been saying anything in the public. I mean, they're saying, hey, we're just trying to get a deal done. And it's everyone else. And I saw Richard Sherman's take on this too, weighing in on the Volume podcast. Again, everyone seems to be saying the same thing. Is like, these guys deserve their money.
They're all talking to each other.
These guys deserve their money, and you should pay them. And I'm like, what experience do you have as a GM in terms of like allocating value and resources to different position groups on the team? I don't understand.
Yeah, they're friends. They're all, it's like RG3 tweeting, but they're friends. They're hitting each other up, saying, if we get enough people to do this, okay, are we going to have a running back strike? Like, I'm being dead serious. Like, are we going to have where the running backs are just...
Because someone else will step in and do it.
I know, but we've seen this before.
I didn't see any halfbacks complaining when the game changed and evolved away from fullbacks.
No,
we're not lining up in 22.
But again, that didn't affect them negatively.
They used to be the stars on the team and the most important piece, especially when you go back through those Super Bowl teams in the 90s and you're looking at guys like Emmitt Smith, and you could clearly see that it was just a different game.
The game's different.
We're having a Pro Bowl running back on a Super Bowl winning team since 2013.
Marshawn Lynch, exactly.
Marshawn Lynch. So, I mean, in my opinion, if you're the top guys should get paid, but the longevity of being a running back, you are what the market bears, in my opinion. And there's obviously you roster a lot more running backs than you do kickers. So a lot of people a lot of these numbers are misconstrued, in my opinion. But I mean, you just look at it right now, and I don't even think you go back to the Bijan Robinson contract. I think Bijan's a great player, but I definitely don't think he's worth a top 10 pick. Running backs right now are late first round, if first round.
Well, let me say this about Bijan. You can split Bijan out, and he can play slot. He can play wide receiver. I think Bijan's a little bit different because what about those guys that are two-way players, right? What about like a Brock Bowers who can run the ball, who can catch the ball, who can block? Like I think Bijan is. There's an anomaly to everything, right? There's always an exception to the rule. Like Bijan Robinson is on a different level, at least projection-wise. We'll see. It may not work out in the NFL. I don't know. But I could put Bijan out wide right now in the NFL, and he could be a problem. So I think we need to make sure.
Bring up that graphic. Do you have that graphic back there of the Super Bowl winning team since 2009? And the leading rusher. Okay.
Yeah.
The first time I read this was a little bit confusing. So I want to make sure off the bat, this is not the leading rushers for the season for each team. Okay. This is the leading rusher in the Super Bowl game, which I understand is not the same thing, but this was the data available. The leading rusher in the Super Bowl game since 2009. The person that's done that has not had a base salary over $2.5 million.
James Stark's making $320. He's making $320 a year.
Now, the 2013 when the Seahawks, like Blaine was saying, that would have been Marshawn Lynch was the leading rusher for the season, but Percy Harvin led the team in rushing in that game.
When the last guy broke 1,000 yards is on that list. Did Leonard break it in 2020?
And a lot of people are saying, well, that's just because Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes are some of the best to ever do it, and they've been winning all the recent Super Bowls. That's the point we're talking about.
The game's
Everyone's trying to allocate their resources to finding that next guy instead of locking themselves up in a top 5 running back pick who you have to pay $30, $40 million.
You don't know. You're so banged up if you're a running back. Like, that's the thing with Saquon. You want to get paid all this money. Like, bro, this is like last year was like the first healthy year you've had when it comes to the NFL. Yeah. So, excuse me, great talent for sure, but excuse me if I'm somewhat wary of paying all this money when I watch maybe your knee go out again in week 3.
Yeah. Well, speaking about great talent, Jayden Daniels, LSU quarterback, joined us yesterday at SEC Media Days. Enjoy the interview. Some really good in-depth questions, including them using the deep third of the field. Let's see what he has to say. All right, we are here with LSU quarterback Jayden Daniels, coming off a year where you win the SEC West, you transfer in, win the job, win the SEC West. Now you're going into your second year in the SEC. My first question for you, Jayden, is, and I'm not asking you to down the conference you were in, but coming from where you were to the SEC, can you just explain to our audience the difference in the defenses you went against within the conference?
I'll say the defense is going against guys like Mason Smith and Will Anderson and those type of guys, and how big they are and how much of a freak athlete they are. That's the biggest difference for me. And then, it all starts up front. If the D-line can get pressure, you go against those big monsters each and every week, having to run away from them. It makes it easier for the secondary. But, I played some great players in the Pac-12. But, nothing compares to how big those guys are in the SEC and how fast they can move for being that big and that size.
Yeah, it's basically just a bunch of aliens running around, Jayden. We see it too, but it's a lot different when you're sitting in that pocket. But, something we've talked about on the show and something that I noticed in your game, and I think it really helped you guys offensively open up, is it seemed about halfway through the year, maybe a little bit before that, you really started attacking down the field. It looked like the vertical game really started opening up, because at the beginning of the year, it seemed like people were kind of playing you tight. It seemed like the box was heavy. Every time you threw underneath, there were 2 guys there. Can you talk about just trusting that adjustment, being able to utilize that deep third of the field, and what it meant to you guys offensively? Because it seemed like after that, Malik Neighbors was open on every third down and medium that there was.
It meant a lot. Obviously teams are going to play us based off my skill set, being able to run the ball with my legs. And daring us to throw the ball deep. We have to earn their respect. We have to test them. If we don't test them, then they're just going to keep running the same defense. And if we test them vertically, it opens up a lot of things. We hit a couple shots or we get a couple pass interferences. It changed the mindset of the defensive coordinator and how they want to attack us on different situations. So, I mean, midway through the season, we started taking those shots deep down the field more. Teams started to respect us and started backing up, started to respect our receivers and knowing that we could run past them if they want to press us. And if not, we could take anything underneath. And you got to account for another asset in our offense.
Definitely.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say, man, the chain,
yeah, it's
and
shining
the
right
chain
now.
are absolutely proper. I mean, the man's best dressed so far, 100%.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I bet the kicks are gas too. You have the offense. We saw you grow. Yeah. We saw you grow, which was phenomenal. But one thing, it has to be comfortable when it comes to the quarterback. When you look at the other side of the ball on your own team, guys like Perk, guys like Mason, who's coming back. How good does it feel to be a quarterback, even if you have a bad drive, right? To know that you have those type of cats running around defense that are probably going to get you the ball back in a couple plays.
It feels great. I mean, we got Mekhi Wingo sitting right next to us. Him and Mason Smith. A lot of people, Mason didn't play last year.
I know.
And celebrate, man. Did you tell him not to celebrate this year?
No, he knows no celebrating. Just make the tackle, turn back around. But not him, and then you got Harold Perkins and what he did last year. They're all just, like you said, aliens just running out there on defense. I don't know what it is in the water in Louisiana.
It's something, man.
But obviously, I wish I could have drunk that when I was younger. But
you got some. You got something. You were by a power plant or something.
I got a little bit. But what they breed out in the South, is different. You got those type of guys, and you got guys like Malik Neighbors that are just freak athletes.
Absolutely.
So, I'm excited to see what they do on defense this year.
Going into year 2, all right, being the experience that you have now under your belt, I mean, you come out, you have a phenomenal first year with Coach Kelly. Being a leader and a quarterback that you are, especially in the locker room, how do you keep those guys' minds right and keep them in the right lane? Every week matters. I mean, you're week 1 versus Florida State, who's a phenomenal team. What type of mindset do you walk into?
We got to walk in with the mindset. We got a target on our back.
Yeah.
Really just go out there and know that if we don't prepare the right way or we don't have the right focus and energy towards what we want to accomplish, that we could get beat. Florida State is a very tough opponent to start off the season with once again. And like I said, if we don't go there with the right mindset or prepare the right way, it could end up looking ugly. Just how explosive their offense is and how good they are on defense. That could set a tone for them, and it's a tone setter for week 1 of how everybody's season is going to go.
100%. Spoken like a true quarterback.
Yep. First off, how you feeling, man? How's the rehab been going throughout the offseason?
It's been great. I mean, everybody's getting back healthy, coming back off my ankle injury. Getting back healthy and really going through spring and putting on more weight, filling out more, and then so I could take those type of hits during the season. But off season has been great.
That's good, man. I remember watching you at Arizona State. You were one of the few quarterbacks who would still line up under center because it seems like everything is in the shotgun now. We can get into that, but you guys brought in Logan Diggs from Notre Dame, who I know Coach Brian Kelly recruited when he was there. How's that going to change up what you guys do schematically on the offense?
He's going to help out a lot, with more depth with the running back position. Being able for him to go out there and be a home run hitter anytime he gets the ball, he runs tough in between the tackles. Very intelligent. That's what we need from our running backs, is to be intelligent, because in certain situations, pass blocking, I might change the protection, might turn it a different way. You got to know who to block. If they blitzing, you got to know where your keys are, who you're looking at, what way you're looking at. So, he's very smart with that. Obviously, he went to Notre Dame for a reason. So you got to be very intelligent to get to Notre Dame. And he's comfortable with Coach Kelly. He played for him, so he knows what to expect.
Definitely. Well, Jayden, man, thanks for stopping by. I know you're busy, man.
Thank you.
Look, congrats on last year. I know you guys are excited about this year, and we're going to be watching, man, rooting for you.
Appreciate it.
Dang, watch out for that Heisman, too.
Yeah.
Watch out now.
Appreciate it.
All right, make sure you subscribe.
Jayden Daniels, man, he was a lot of fun, wasn't he?
He was awesome.
A lot of fun.
Good vibes.
Big smile. Obviously excited. Has put on some weight. Still wiry, but
you'll never take me.
You think I'm going to let the French come get me?
No, it's not the French.
Huh?
Yeah. This guy comes back from France. He's going to France again, and the power goes out?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I was going to rush hour you. No, good try, ESPN.
Yeah, they tried.
You'll never take us.
They tried.
Okay, well, we got callers on the line.
Do we have callers on the line?
Wait, is it
one way to find out.
We have the continuum trends functioner?
Yeah, what's the portal looking like right now?
It's last year's model, but it's still working, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
You want to find out?
Yeah, let's
We can find out the hard way.
Let's do it. Just send it.
Micah in Missouri.
Micah?
Are you or are you not on the line, Micah?
I am, boy.
Micah!
Micah, it's great to hear your voice.
Hey,
All right, just one quick thing. It is the trust tree, so I forgive you, David. It's Micaiah.
Yeah.
Micaiah.
It's
Damn it,
Micaiah.
David?
What did I say?
You come to the show
said
and you
Micah.
get his name right, David.
I said Micah.
You said Micah. He's not a
Micaiah.
geologist.
Micaiah, I
Hold on.
apologize.
Okay, before I take blame, which I will if I'm wrong, how do you spell your name?
Micaiah.
Dang it, they spelled it
There's an extra A in there.
Yeah.
All right, you know what?
David,
Hey,
we'll let this.
that was on
okay.
me.
Yeah, that's right. That's accountability.
It's
That's
That's
okay,
not
David,
okay.
you
It's
will-
not okay. We'll make sure there's repercussions.
No, Jake already spoke for the group.
Last to have butchered that name.
I know. Micaiah, what you got, buddy?
Hey, I just had two quick questions. They were both going to be at NBA, but I'm going to hold off on one of those for another day. Another thing, first-time caller, so just wanted to say love the show.
Thanks,
And
man.
appreciate all you guys have done. Great to have you guys back. Really missed you. You guys kind of threw off my routine there for a little bit. I didn't know what to do with myself, what sports show to listen to while you guys were gone. But
Yeah, look, man,
we're
we
looking forward to
appreciate
the
it, buddy.
product that
Thank
guys
you.
have for us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
man. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Quick question about this kind of tails on to David's question about the running back situation.
Yeah.
With the Chiefs basically standing pat. Obviously, I'm in Missouri. I'm a Chiefs fan. So I wanted to ask you all, do you think that it was the right decision for the Chiefs not to go super hard after D-Hop?
I'll take this first. Here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to question the way that the Chiefs go about their business, especially right now with what they have. Obviously, it's a GM spot with Andy Reid. I know Bieniemy's gone now, but the Chiefs and last year I think is the greatest example. They found a way to do more with less than they have at any point in time last year, and they know how that locker room is. They know the chemistry. They know the culture. And I'm not saying D-Hop's a great culture guy, it seems like. It seems like D-Hop's a guy that goes out there and does the right things, says the right thing, and he would have been a great addition. But with what they've done with that roster, it's kind of like me with the Atlanta Braves, Micaiah. I'm not going to question what Alex Anthopoulos does because I'm the type person where if you show me who you are, I am going to believe you. And they have their finger on the pulse. They understand what they're doing, and they have it absolutely rolling. And not that they didn't go after him. I mean, you're not going to get everybody, but the Chiefs have made the right decisions. They're very calculated in what they do. And I know there may be a little bit of disappointment with the Chiefs fan base because they didn't get D-Hop, not nearly as much as the Patriots fan base, as Blaine had brought up. But I'm not going to question the way they operate.
Now, I mentioned the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year with a starting rookie running back drafted in the 7th round. They also didn't have a wide receiver catch for over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce. And that's where a lot of that starts from. Patrick Mahomes,
100%.
Travis Kelce, and investing up front.
Yeah.
Anything else, Micaiah?
Kind of where I landed at. I'm actually in that camp where I'm kind of glad we passed on him to develop the younger talent.
I don't even think it's something where it's like, I'm glad we didn't get him, or I'm glad that we did get him. It's that regardless of the outcome, I am trusting the people that make the decisions. I think that gives you more solace than anything. With regardless of what happens, you still feel good about where you're at because of the people that are in the places that are making these decisions, because they've proven it to you.
Well, yeah, 100%. Trust in Veach. That's what we got to do.
Yep.
Keep going, move
100%.
forward.
Anything else,
my
Micaiah?
one other question, and this may step on Blaine's toes, so
Who
but I know I'm
cares?
in the trust tree. So,
Oh,
LeBron announced
God.
in rather uppity fashion, that everyone was lucky that he was coming back. And Mike Malone, as you guys know, back when the Nuggets swept him, was somewhat frustrated that the narrative was, instead of them winning and sweeping LeBron, it got shifted to, is LeBron done? And now LeBron has announced that he is, in fact, not going to retire, which we all knew all along he wasn't going to. So I just wanted to give the floor to Blaine and have him explain his guy.
Explain.
Well, I mean, look,
Great
if
question,
anyone,
Micaiah.
I think I know Mike Malone said that, but I guess he's referring to ESPN only talking about LeBron James. Are we surprised by that? Not at all. Is LeBron James a diva? 100%. Will the game miss him when he's gone? Do people wait to see whether or not he's returning? Yeah, it's LeBron James. It's a top 2 argument when it comes to the best player ever. I mean, I know the league has got great young talent for sure, but LeBron will always be the biggest topic while he's in the NBA. This is the way it's going to work. So, am I surprised? Should it be like this? No, I don't think it should be like this. I think a lot of more people should be talking about what the Nuggets did and how they did it. But the NBA and especially ESPN just waits on the doorstep of LeBron's every word. Every word. Doesn't matter. He could be ordering some food from McDonald's. Like, is he going to get the Big Mac? You know, he's going to go to the McGangbang, 2 double cheeseburgers. I can't wait to see. So am I surprised by this? No, but it's ESPN and it's LeBron. It's a Spider-Man, Jeff.
Yeah.
He's right.
Micaiah, thanks, buddy.
Right.
Appreciate it. Call in again, man. Call in again.
Call in
Appreciate it,
Friday.
Micaiah.
I'll get your name right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Disgusting.
All right,
Mike's
buddy.
name right. All right. Noah in Iowa. Is that one pronounced right, Noah?
God, I hope so.
It's actually Noah.
Noah.
It is Noah.
Yes.
I knew it.
All right. Well, I don't know if you guys know about this, but Iowa's NIL Collective recently partnered up with a brewery, and they released a beer in which 20% of profits go to the collective to pay the players. And they also just released a vodka. Do you think that this is something that like SEC schools especially should like start adapting, or smaller schools that don't have the big funding donors like other schools should start doing? I know Iowa made $30,000, I think, in the first 2 weeks just off the beer alone, and they just released the vodka. So
I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. No, let me tell you what's first off. That is a fantastic idea.
Love it.
I know Iowans love their beer, but coached in that state. Here's what you're going to see happen. If they're doing that in Big Ten country, I think you may see it in some of these cities, and it'll get approved. And y'all think I'm kidding. A tax that is added, like a yearly tax. If you live in like the Tuscaloosa city limits, hey, you're going to pay 1.5% more on all goods bought in Tuscaloosa. That's going to go to the NIL fund. You think I'm kidding? Like, I would not be shocked if you see this in a ton of different products in college towns, around states that obviously love college football. It's a brilliant idea. I would much rather pay a tax that goes, at least I know where my money's going.
To Vanderbilt.
At least it's not going to the Ukraine.
Yeah.
You mean I could go help us get a starting running back, like a 5-star running back or a 5-star defensive end? I'll pay an extra 1.5%.
So how would you feel about that? Because your money would be going to an SEC opponent of Auburn here. You'd be paying for Vanderbilt.
Well, look, Vanderbilt's not going to do that. They can't even finish the stadium before the season starts.
That is
like I would. It would suck if you lived somewhere else. Okay, I do get that.
You lived in Tuscaloosa.
I do get that.
You paying that
I
tax?
understand that.
No, I'm in jail. What? I ain't paying that.
No, that's a great idea. I think you're going to see that at a lot of different places. I can't believe I didn't hear about that.
love
What's it called?
I heard the IPA
What's it
called
called?
Don't Punt.
Yeah, well, yeah. What's it called?
It's called We Want That. It's called We Want That Safety.
It's called what? No.
it's called Swarm Beer, or NIL Collective. It's called the Swarm. So,
Oh, okay.
Swarm.
Okay.
I don't like it having the word warm in it though. I'm not huge on that. I think they could have come up with something better. Like, please,
Let's
Kate.
stop.
Like cold.
Cold.
Yeah.
Scold.
Yeah, well, it's just cold. We keep our beer cold, and we'll look at you the entire time while you do
That's
it.
exactly right. But no, great stuff, man. Good question.
Thank you, Noah.
Thanks for bringing that up. I didn't know that.
Let's go to Swanee in Texas, the resident Rangers fan. What's going on, Swanee?
Hey, what's up, boys?
What is up?
Thanks for the Rangers gear, man.
Hey, the Rangers are on a 5-game heater since the break, bud.
I'm telling you.
He's not a real Rangers fan, Swanee.
Huh?
So
How dare
I think
you.
we all know that.
How dare you?
No, I was hey, you talking about my fellas, so I had to call in, and in the words of one of my favorite Louisiana boys, it's a great day.
Yeah. Look, it is. He's got a guy that has it under control, man. He's got structure. They've got accountability, which that leads to consistency. And we talk about Georgia being a monster, right? We talk about the state of Florida, Louisiana. some cats running around there too. And we know LSU, there's not even a Georgia Tech. There's a Louisiana Tech. Cool story, right? Southeast Louisiana, shout out our boy Blake Ruffino. I got love for him. All right, but outside of that, I mean, I'm an SC-LSU guy. But, I mean, look, Louisiana State.
Waterboy might be a cheetah.
The Waterboy might be. There is no Ponchatoula High School and whatever. But, man, Swanee, big year for y'all, I think.
It's South Plains Cherokee High School.
South Plains Cherokee High School.
There it is.
Oh man, man, how about Scott Woodward, man? What a team he's put together. You know, you got Mulkey and you got Jay Johnson, and then you know, I mean, I love Coach O, obviously, but I mean, hey man, what he did was lightning in a bottle. So we upgraded when we got BK, but
without a doubt,
you know, the schedule looks good, and you know, I think the biggest games, you know, Florida State Open, but after that, we're going to be favored all the way till Bama. And, you know, now I'm concerned because we've got 4 national championships, but they've all occurred in New Orleans, and this year the Natty's in Houston, so that could be a problem.
But Houston, it's the New Orleans of Texas.
Yeah, there you go. But I feel good. I feel good about it. I'm excited about the season. Y'all were talking about my fellas today, so of course I had to call in and tell you I appreciate that. And Jake, we got to get you some jambalaya or some boudin or something, man, because you're skinny, man. Skinny.
Yeah.
Look, that boudin.
I'm on a heater right now. Huh? I'm on a heater. I will say this, Swanee. That Florida State game, you know, I keep calling it the insurance game. It's the biggest. You win that one. Let's just run this experiment for a second. You beat Florida State.
We win that, we're huge, dude.
You beat Florida State. Now you can go lose at Bama. Hell, you can lose at Bama. Have Bama win the SEC West. And if LSU has one loss, and that's at Alabama, and Alabama wins the SEC West, and this is like one of the worst case scenarios after beating Florida State, okay? You still got a hell of a chance with what I think is going to happen in the Pac-12 with the cannibalization there. I think you get 1 out of the Big Ten this year. I don't think you
3
get
teams
2.
of the SEC?
It just depends, because what happened? Let's play this game. What happens if Alabama beats LSU, okay, wins the West? All right, let's say Alabama goes 11-1, LSU goes 11-1. Alabama wins the tiebreaker. Alabama goes SEC championship game, loses to Georgia.
Yeah.
Alabama's 11-2.
Okay.
LSU's 11-1. And Georgia and LSU would go.
That could be the scenario. Or let's say LSU loses to Florida State in that first week, ends up winning the SEC West, but drops another game somewhere along the way. So they're a 2-loss SEC
and then you
team.
get Georgia.
And then you beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Who goes undefeated?
No, you're in.
Georgia would
in.
still get in.
They would get
losing,
in, and
then
LSU
LSU would as the SEC champ.
That's exactly right.
So several scenarios.
It's going to be interesting, Swanee, for sure,
All right,
man.
Swanee,
Thanks for calling in. Hey,
thanks,
that
Swanee.
picture's going to get to you, man. I swear to God it is.
Hey, love you guys, man. Y'all are the best.
We love y'all.
I love you.
A little crawfish pie and etouffee for us down there, all right?
Etouffee?
Let's go to Byron in North Carolina. Byron, what's going on?
Byron.
What's up, Byron?
What's up, guys?
How's it going, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. I just wanted to say again, I appreciate and liked everything y'all said about Clemson and Cade and all that. Have to say, with all y'all talk about right there with the playoffs going on there, maybe we have something to say about that. We beat Florida State.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could see him twice. You could see him twice.
Yeah. I'm actually, I know y'all talked about the other day. Louisville has a good chance of, coming into the ACC championship.
Let me pull up. Let's pull up their schedule real quick.
Where do y'all play Louisville this year?
They don't play Louisville.
Clemson doesn't have Louisville?
No.
We don't play, but
so
they have a pretty easy road.
Clemson game 1 at Duke.
They'll win. I like what Mike Elko's doing. I like Riley Leonard a lot. They got a first-round tackle at Duke. But I'll say this. I think Louisville, I don't think enough people are talking about the hire of Braum back to Louisville. It's a great combination. Not that it always works out, of a guy who played there, guy who obviously loves that place, and we know that Louisville can win. And maybe I think Louisville, and listen, I've got nothing personal against Satterfield, right, who went to Cincinnati, but I think Louisville ended up lucking out. I think Cincinnati saved Louisville, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. But another question I had was, what do y'all look for on these media days when you're there? And from the players and the coaches, I mean, like, can y'all see more confidence in certain players and teams? Or,
yeah.
You know.
Well, it's just like anything. That. It's like going to a party, right? You can see who the confident people are.
Yeah.
You can see the people that are walking around that have that, magnetism to them. You can see the coaches that are more comfortable now. Like looking at, not that Brian Kelly wasn't comfortable last year, but I feel like Brian Kelly felt like he had to come in and say something last year to set the tone. This year it was, hey, let's get there, say what we got to say, get out. But it's just like anything in life. Now players-wise, you have some players that like to talk, that feel comfortable talking, like Jayden Daniels, and you have other guys that it takes a little bit to open up, like Brock Bowers, surprisingly. But when it comes down to just, you get a feel for it because you're around them and you see them in person. I think it gives you a really good feel for them. And then other media members too. That's what we look for. We love talking to other guys that are in the business as well. It's a good question.
Thanks, Byron.
Byron, appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate it, Byron.
Yeah.
Call in again.
Y'all the best.
You're the best.
You're the best, buddy. Thank you. All right, let's get one more in here. Jordan from Alabama. Jordan, what's going on?
Jordan, what's up?
Good morning, Crain and Co.
Here we go.
Doing good, man. How are you?
The energy.
I'm loving this.
I'm wonderful, guys. We are 2 weeks from football season.
Oh, just whisper sweet nothings into my ear.
Man, I'm telling you, I am fired up.
Same here.
Okay, so
we're going to fight right when the show ends, just out of excitement.
Here's my question. What were your impressions of Hugh Freeze? How do you think? I know there was a lot of coach speak more than likely going on yesterday. Didn't get a chance to watch, but is he feeling confident? Do you kind of seem like he's kind of doesn't feel like he's where he should be? I mean, what do you think the feel is on the plane?
Well, I was fortunate enough, and we're going to drop that interview at the end of this week. I got some one-on-one time with him. And, obviously I know Coach Freeze. We've been in contact for a long time. I felt like he was grateful. I felt like it was kind of a mix of happy to be there, but hungry to go do something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think it was a good blend. I didn't see nervousness. Obviously he's been humbled by the situations before this, and he talked about that. And of course he got some questions about it, but I thought he was very kind of honest. He was a little bit even more honest about the play calling situation, about Phil Montgomery coming over from Tulsa, being the primary play caller, talking about some of the inner workings of what's going on with the staff, when they've met, what they've talked about. I think one of the things he talked about that he brought up that we don't talk about enough is how he's had to, one of the biggest things that Phil Montgomery did coming in was help him change the terminology, because his terminology is used a lot. Like that same term. He's been and went and talked to the guys at Georgia and Alabama and places like that, and they know that terminology. And when you have other guys on your staff that end up going to other staffs, they know your terminology. So they can tell the defense that, hey, if you hear this or if you signal this, right? You'd be amazed at the guys that sit up there with binoculars who have been on the staff they're playing against and are able to pick signals. But I think it was a mixture of thankful and hungry. And he talked about, flipping the roster and what they did up front. And there is going to be growing pains, right? There are growing pains that go along with this, and you have to accumulate depth. But there's something about seeing kind of your professional life flash before your eyes and then being able to get back up on that podium at SEC Media Days at a place like Auburn and say, guess what? I'm back, I'm thankful, and I'm hungry. So I thought he did a great job. I thought Luke Deal and the players did a really good job as well.
Awesome. Well, I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Because I've been, man, being an Auburn fan, I've had to deal with Georgia and Alabama for my entire life.
I know.
It's been awful. But do you think that Brock Bowers will be the first tight end to ever win the Heisman Trophy?
No, because I think it's a quarterback award now. I don't think they give it to anybody but quarterbacks. I think it's the Maxwell Award. They just changed the Maxwell Award to the Heisman. They're not going to give it to a defensive player. They're not going to give it to a running back. They're not going to give it to a tight end or a wide receiver. it's a quarterback award. I hate to say it, but it is now. That's what it is.
I think Blake Corum might sneak up there this year. He might. He might.
No, I don't think so.
I'd like to hear.
I think it might.
Yeah,
I think it might be Blake
I think
this
it's
year.
a quarterback award now. The way the media works, because look, a lot of the media doesn't understand football. They just look at the quarterback and they're like, "Oh, look at the quarterback." They don't understand
pretty
the other
colors.
things that goes around. Yeah, it's simple. It's like simple Jack. It makes their eyes rain.
Well, Blake Corum was 7
And listen,
offensive
Caleb Williams
linemen.
deserved to win the Heisman last year, in my opinion.
Really good.
I think he deserved to win the Heisman. Not
I
saying
agree
that
with that.
quarterbacks should never win the Heisman. They should probably win it most of the time, but they shouldn't win it every damn time. And that's what it seems like it's come down to, because that's how they gas everybody up. So, Jordan, that's my answer, man, unfortunately.
Appreciate it, Jordan.
All right,
Thanks, Jordan.
well,
Call in Friday, man.
Y'all have a great week. Yes,
Talk to
sir.
you Friday, man. See ya.
Hey, appreciate it, brother. All right, before we get to bets, all right, speaking about winning awards and selling out, we talk about Auburn selling out their season tickets faster than ever before. Well, our friends over at Genucel, they sold out of their dark spot corrector faster than ever before. And a lot of that is thanks to the Booster Club. Look at skincare for men and women. It's the largest organ in your body, all right? I don't know where I heard that, but I know it's true, okay? I'm not a scientist or a doctorate or a doctor in general.
It's true you heard it, or
No, it's true that it's true, and it's also true that I heard it,
Yeah.
David.
Dr.
Why don't we ask
Scientist.
Micaiah about it? All right, and it's just in time for the summer, and it's back in stock. Sold out, then they re-upped. Okay, their famous dark spot corrector has not one, but 3 cutting-edge ingredients. Goes to work fast to target sunspots, dark spots, liver spots. Look, we're outside now. Okay, that's how we do it, especially down here in the South. Okay, that's sun's out. Sun's out, guns out, being jacked and tan. Y'all know how we do it. David, you use it? That's why you got that alien clean skin, man.
Twice a day.
From Krypton.
Whatever works, man. Look,
look
the whole
great.
family's on it right now. The wife's
about
using
Blaine?
it. Mom's using it.
Yeah.
Blaine had more spots than a Dalmatian before he started to use it.
Yeah, what a great situation. I started using that and screaming in the mirror every morning. Look where I am now.
Look at you.
Yeah.
You made it.
Yeah. We did it, y'all.
Their most popular package. Why do you do this to me? Their most popular their most popular package also features summer essentials, like the best-selling Ultra Retinol Moisturizer with a powerful retinol alternative for safe use in the sun. And you'll be amazed how quickly you'll see the results, or 100% of your money back guaranteed. Okay, so go to Genucel.com/booster. That's GENUCEL.com/booster. You guys know how to spell that right now. Do it right now unless you're driving or operating heavy machinery. Okay, and you can get your dark spot corrector and their most popular package. That's Genucel.com/booster right now, and you get over 70% off. I know what else y'all want. 70% off.
70%
What else
off?
do they give you 70% off? What else can you go get 70% off right now? Nothing outside of Genucel's most popular package. And to even make it even better, all orders will include a mystery luxury gift while supplies last.
Ooh.
That's Genucel.com/booster. Congrats, America.
Mystery.
Love it.
All right, I'm going to walk over to
Luxury gift.
Read, I know we got to get to the Booster Club because the power went out because ESPN tried to hack us.
All right, let's go to David S. with a $10 donation. Fun fact. Do you guys know that the SEC is the only Power 5 conference that doesn't have a green team?
A what?
ACC has Miami, Big Ten has Michigan State, Pac-12 has Oregon, Big
Look,
12 has Baylor.
SEC's got a lot of...
SEC has none.
SEC's got enough green to go around. It's called the TV deal.
Let's go to
I
Cole.
didn't know that. Well, wait a minute. Florida's green.
They don't have any green in their uniform.
Their alt uni's green. They have some green.
David S., you're a Florida fan. All right, never. You know,
we count alts?
keep going. I don't know.
I never counting alts.
I'm never counting alts.
Cole Frank, $2 donation. I will celebrate when LeBron tires. # mid for life.
Yeah.
Cole, it seems personal with you. Are you okay?
I love it, Cole.
That's really
Keep it
Dwayne
up,
Wade.
buddy.
I mean, let's
You
be
keep this show afloat, Cole.
Let's be honest. Let's go to Mo Bama says Blaine going off about Cone about names is just sad at Crain and Company. Hey, I did great on
Thank
the
you,
hockey.
Mo Bama.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I did
Mo
absolutely
Bama.
great on the hockey thing.
Get out and do your
Okay.
push-up.
And everybody knows it. Texas said Andy Reid finds these diamonds in the rough by watching Maction while he's game planning.
I love it. And he's eating cookies and drinking milk. All right, here's what I got today for bets. Give me the Padres, Blue Jays, Nerfy, -105. Mariners, Twins, over 7.5. That's at -105. David, what do you got?
Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Nerfy, +105. Miami, St. Louis, Nerfy, -105. Can't wait for there to be 9 runs in the first.
Yeah, sweet. Royals, Detroit Tigers, Nerfy. Who cares? Mariners, Twins. Can't wait for Ty France to hit a solo home run in the first. Nerfy.
Ace Cone, he's going to take the Astros -165 and the Brewers money line at a dirty plus 130. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate Jayden Daniels for joining us. We got great interviews the rest of the week. We're headed to Media Day right after this. Day 3 poll. Quick.
What is more important, running backs or kickers?
Why did you do this? Why did you do this?
I'm going to say.
I'm at the hands of the booster.
Everyone's important.
I'm going to say they said running backs 56%.
Running backs 60%.
Kickers 63%.
Wow,
no, I'm just kidding.
That's a lot.
Running backs 63%.
That's a
Kickers
lot.
37%. Whatever.
Hey, make sure
get their
you
names
subscribe.
right when they call
Got
it.
like I said, big time guest tomorrow, big time guest Friday as well. We got football covered like a warm blanket in the wintertime. It's that time, baby. And like the chances of Vanderbilt getting that stadium
What's up
done
with
before
you and Vandy,
kickoff,
dude?
we're going. Gone.
Hiya.